You have been lied to about hydration. For decades, you have heard the same advice repeated until it became scripture. Drink 8 glasses of water a day. Stay hydrated. Keep a water bottle with you at all times. Drink even when you are not thirsty. And so you do. You drink water with dinner. You drink water while watching television. You drink a glass before bed because you have been told it prevents nighttime dehydration. Then you wake at 2 in the morning, and again at 4, and sometimes at 5. Each time your bladder demands attention that your sleep cannot afford to give. You assume this is simply what happens when you get older. Nighttime urination, nocturia, as doctors call it, is just part of aging, unavoidable, something to accept. You are wrong. What you are experiencing is not an inevitable consequence of age. It is a consequence of timing. Specifically, the timing of when you consume fluids in relation to when you sleep. And this timing mistake is quietly destroying the most critical phase of your rest, the deep sleep your brain requires to consolidate memory, repair tissue, and regulate the hormones that keep you mentally sharp and physically resilient. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly when to stop drinking water each day, why this single adjustment can transform your sleep architecture, and how to stay properly hydrated without sacrificing the rest your body desperately needs. Most people our age accept fragmented sleep as normal. Since you are here, I suspect you are unwilling to accept what is merely common. Let me explain what is actually happening in your body at night. When you were 30, your kidneys processed fluid differently. They responded to a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, ADH, which signals the kidneys to concentrate urine and reduce production during sleep. This system worked beautifully. You could drink water at 10 o'clock and sleep through until morning without interruption. After C60, this system begins to fail. ADH production decreases with age. Your kidneys become less responsive to the ADH that remains. The result is that your body continues producing urine at nearly the same rate during sleep as it does during waking hours. But there is more. Your bladder capacity also diminishes. The bladder that once comfortably held 400 milliliters now signals urgency at 250. You feel the need to urinate not because your bladder is full by youthful standards, but because it has reached its new, reduced threshold. These two changes, decreased ADH response and reduced bladder capacity, create a perfect storm. Fluid consumed in the evening becomes urine faster than before, and your bladder tolerates less of it before demanding relief. Every time you wake to urinate, you are not simply losing minutes of sleep. You are interrupting sleep cycles that cannot simply resume where they left off. Deep sleep, stage 3, non-REM. Sleep typically occurs in the first half of the night. This is when your brain clears metabolic waste, including the beta amyloid proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease. This is when human growth hormone surges to repair muscle and bone. This is when memories from the day are consolidated into long-term storage. When you wake at 2 in the morning to use the bathroom, you are not just losing the 5 minutes it takes to get up and return to bed. You are losing the deep sleep phase you were in, and your brain often cannot return to that phase. It cycles back to lighter sleep instead, and you miss the restoration you needed. This is why you feel exhausted even after 8 hours in bed. The hours mean nothing if the architecture of those hours is fractured. Now, here is the adjustment that changes everything. Stop drinking significant fluids 3 to 4 hours before your intended bedtime. If you go to sleep at 10 o'clock, your last substantial fluid intake should be no later than 6 or 7 in the evening. Small sips are acceptable after this point, enough to take medication, enough to relieve a dry mouth. But no full glasses, no cups of tea, no water bottles on the nightstand that you drain out of habit. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking about dehydration. You are thinking about the warnings you have heard your entire life about the dangers of insufficient water intake, especially as you age. Let me address this directly. You do not need to drink water in the hours before sleep to be adequately hydrated. Hydration is a 24-hour equation, not an hourly requirement. What matters is your total daily intake, not the distribution of that intake across every waking hour. The water you drink at noon is still hydrating you at midnight. Your tissues do not distinguish between morning water and evening water. They simply require adequate total volume over the course of each day. By front-loading your hydration, drinking more, water in the morning and early afternoon, you can achieve the same total intake while allowing your bladder to empty before sleep begins. Here is my personal protocol. I drink 2 full glasses of water within 30 minutes of waking, before coffee, before breakfast. This immediately addresses any overnight dehydration and sets a strong foundation for the day. I continue drinking water freely through the morning and into early afternoon. By 3 o'clock, I have typically consumed 70 to 80% of my daily fluid needs. Between 3 and 6, I drink moderately, perhaps 1 more glass, consumed slowly. After 6, I stop, completely. If I feel thirsty, I take a small sip. But I do not drink a full glass of anything, water, tea, juice, after this point. The result has been transformative. I went from waking 2 to 3 times per night to waking once at most, and often not at all. My sleep tracker confirmed what my body already knew. My deep sleep phases lengthened. My morning energy improved. The mental fog that had been settling over my afternoons began to lift. This was not medication. This was not a supplement. This was timing. But hydration timing is only part of the equation. There are other factors sabotaging your sleep that most seniors never consider. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours in younger adults. In older adults, this extends to 8 hours or more. The coffee you drink at 2 in the afternoon is still circulating in your system at 10 o'clock at night. You may not feel wired. Caffeine tolerance builds over decades, but your brain cannot enter deep sleep as efficiently with caffeine present. My rule: no caffeine after noon. None. Not even decaf, which still contains small amounts. This felt extreme when I first implemented it. Now it feels obvious. Alcohol is perhaps the most misunderstood sleep disruptor among our generation. Many seniors use a glass of wine to relax before bed, believing it helps them sleep. And in one narrow sense, they are correct. Alcohol does help you fall asleep faster. But alcohol suppresses REM sleep in the first half of the night and causes fragmented sleep in the second half as your body metabolizes it. The sleep you get after alcohol is not the sleep your brain needs. It is sedation masquerading as rest. If you choose to drink, finish your last glass at least 3 hours before bed. Your liver needs time to process the alcohol before sleep begins. There is another consideration many people overlook: sodium intake at dinner. High sodium meals cause your body to retain fluid initially, then trigger increased urination as your kidneys work to restore balance. A salty dinner at 7 o'clock can mean a full bladder at 2 in the morning, even if you stopped drinking fluids hours earlier. I have learned to keep my evening meals lower in sodium than my earlier meals. The steak with soy sauce is a lunch choice now, not a dinner choice. This small adjustment has made a measurable difference. Let me also address a concern I hear frequently. What about nighttime dehydration causing leg cramps? Nocturnal leg cramps are common among seniors, and many believe they result from dehydration. This is largely a myth. Most nighttime leg cramps stem from mineral imbalances, particularly magnesium and potassium deficiency, or from muscle fatigue, not from inadequate water intake during sleep. If you experience leg cramps at night, The solution is not to drink more water before bed. The solution is to ensure adequate magnesium and potassium intake during the day, to stretch your calves before sleep, and to avoid pointing your toes while lying down, which can trigger cramping in susceptible individuals. Drinking water to prevent cramps simply trades one problem for another, and fragmented sleep is the worse problem. I want to acknowledge something important. Frequent nighttime urination can also indicate underlying medical conditions. Enlarged prostate in men, overactive bladder in both sexes, uncontrolled diabetes, or heart failure causing fluid redistribution when lying down. If you are waking more than twice per night, despite implementing the timing strategies I have described, please consult your physician. Do not dismiss this as normal aging without investigation. But for many of us, perhaps most of us, the solution is not medical intervention. It is simply understanding how our bodies have changed and adjusting our habits accordingly. The 8 glasses a day advice was never based on solid science to begin with. It was a reasonable estimate that became dogma through repetition. And it was never intended to mean 8 glasses distributed evenly across waking hours, with the final glass consumed at bedtime. Your body at 70 requires wisdom that generic advice cannot provide. It requires you to understand your own physiology, the reduced ADH, the smaller bladder capacity, the slower caffeine metabolism, and to design habits that work with these realities rather than against them. This is not weakness. This is intelligence. The seniors who thrive are not the ones who pretend their bodies have not changed. They are the ones who acknowledge the changes and adapt strategically. They do not mourn the bladder capacity of their 30s. They adjust their fluid timing and sleep better than people half their age. So here is your assignment. Tonight, track when you consume your last significant fluid. Tomorrow night, move that time 1 hour earlier. Continue adjusting until you find the cutoff point that allows you to sleep through the night, or wake no more than once. Front-load your hydration into the morning and early afternoon. Drink liberally before 3 o'clock. Drink cautiously after. Stop completely by your chosen cutoff time. Within 1 week, you will notice a difference. Within 1 month, you will wonder why no one told you this sooner. The answer is that most advice about aging is designed for compliance, not for optimization. Drink water, stay hydrated, do not worry about the details. It is simple advice because simple advice is easy to give. But you are not looking for easy advice. You are looking for advice that works. If you are part of the small minority who refuses to accept deteriorating sleep as inevitable, who believes that strategic adjustment is superior to passive acceptance, then you belong here. Share this with someone who wakes too often and sleeps too poorly. They will thank you, though they may not initially believe what you are telling them. The truth often meets resistance before it brings relief. Return here. There is more we need to discuss about reclaiming the vitality that generic advice has quietly stolen from you. Until next time, stay vital.